Hey guys, it's Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a bullet journal setup video, so keep watching to see more of my setup. But first things first, we are going to be making some graphics. I decided to draw some of my own graphics and make them stickers using my Phomemo printer. I'm using my Procreate app on my iPad Pro, and I am just writing down some quotes, drawing some coffee themed elements because my theme for my bullet journal this April is coffee, and it's super funny and also coincidental because the Dalgona coffee craze has been ongoing, but I've had coffee on my mind for April for the longest time, and since we're currently on quarantine, I thought it was such a great way to actually use the idea of coffee and staying home to sort of encapsulate how this setup's gonna look like and basically how I am going to go about. So now I'm turning on my Phomemo printer. If you want to get one of your own, make sure to input the discount code down below on my description box to get an extra 10% off. So what I'm doing is I'm actually cropping them one by one on the Phomemo app. That way it prints properly and it scales according to the size that I want. What's nice about this is apart from making your own artworks, you can use photos. You can also use the pre-existing templates that they already have, but because I'm extra, I decided I want to do my own. If you want to download this printable, make sure to check the link also down below on where to download and print them for your journals. So yeah, I just decided to go with a lot of different coffee elements to sort of encapsulate my theme, and I like the whole idea of this being black and white because that way it's easier for me to creatively work around the journal spreads without having to sacrifice the color. And if you know me, my journal spreads are very much based on color scheme and design, so that is what I'm trying to work on as well for this spread. So I'm just bringing out some of my tools. This was actually the easiest that I had to sort out in terms of pooling my materials because a lot of my materials are brown. I love vintage elements and I love anything brown. I've always been known to like brown. When I was starting painting, I was doing lettering, all of my artworks were all vintage colored themed ones. So yeah, I recently also got this set of Mildliner Brush Pens as well as the Koi Sakura Brush Pen in brown. So we are gonna head on and start. I'm using also this Tombow dual brush marker in brown to start with the cover page. I actually bought this landscape set from Tombow a couple of years back in Michael's, and it's really good because the colors are all muted blues, greens, and browns. And yeah, that's what I'm using for this page. I'm also adding some stamps. One thing I realized after filming this was actually that one of the stamp pad inks I own, the VersaCraft one, which is in sand, it's a good color, but it's a bit wet. That way the stamp smudges when I do my journaling, so that's something I will note for next time. So I'm just adding some elements here and there. Actually, I was kind of skeptic while I was doing this because I could have made the April a bit bigger, like the title of the month, but alas, I have done my deed and I have no regrets. But yeah, again, the whole point of doing a cover page, apart from, dividing it from the previous months, is basically being able to creatively lay out certain things and elements in a page. And this involves a lot of color balance, shape, the cutouts, the words, how do they juxtapose together into the page. And that is something that I'm very much invested in doing because I guess, yeah, I keep saying this, but because I have a background in design or I have knowledge in design in general, I feel like it's really important to establish those elements when you're working on a page. So yeah, I can't believe we're on our second quarter. I feel like January just started and I don't really know what else to expect aside from trying to figure out what's next for not just me but for the whole world in general at this point. And I'm just trying not to overthink it because a lot of anxiety roots to that aspect and I don't really want to dwell on it, and it's been a lot, to be honest. So for the next spread, we are going to head on and do the monthly calendar. So if you've watched my previous bullet journaling videos, you'd know that a lot of the elements end up changing. Like some pages I omit, I add, I revise. But something that I always keep is my monthly calendar, even if this ruling thing is really a burden to do. I think it's something that I have to do, and I still like doing it because it makes me more aware of what to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. Not only that, but also the content that I have to put out. So apart from this analog version of my calendar, I also have a content calendar on my Google Drive for your reference, because honestly, I do plan ahead, and it's really important for me to do that just so I don't feel like I would freak out when the week starts and I just have nothing to share or post online. Especially now, I feel there is a certain pressure to have to deliver to more online content because everyone's at home. And I'm trying my best to not feel really overwhelmed by it, because at the end of the day, I still have to also rest and be able to make time for myself, which I have not been doing for the past 27 years that I have been alive, and the past 5 years that I have been working full time as an artist. Anyway, back to the spread. I am adding some more coffee themed elements. I actually picked up some vintage themed stationery before this lockdown happened, and these are some of them that I'm using right now. Actually, I prepared a coffee themed goodie bag, which I was supposed to release this April, but alas, that is not gonna happen because the shop is temporarily closed. But the good news is my digital shop is up and running, and if you want to get a hold of my ebooks, guides, and printables and lettering worksheets, you can head on there. I will link it down below for you as well. So my concern while doing this was actually if the coffee theme would affect the whole look of the journal spreads, because it's usually brown. But what's interesting is, coffee is not only brown, and it's a lot of colors, and that's so interesting because you can always work around these different earth tone colors. It actually reminds me of the first ever set of pages that I did for the year, but that was what was more flowery and vintagey. This one was more coffee themed and like staying home, the whole concept of being an introvert and homebody. So yeah, I don't remember when I first encountered coffee, but I remember having it at a third wave coffee shop, and that's when I really enjoyed coffee in general. And at the time, I was still drinking flat whites and lattes and iced mochas, but now I'm just straight up drinking black Americano, long drip, brewed coffee, pour over. Is there anything I missed? Basically that. So yeah, I think it's always been a fundamental part of my productivity per se as an artist. I don't really survive the day without coffee, even if it gives me palpitations or it makes me more anxious. So today I actually tried making 3 types of coffee, and 2 of them was not good. The last one was bearable, so that's what I'm drinking today. But honestly, I would just prefer having black coffee, but I left some of my beans at the studio, and I'm not really keen on going out all the time to get a lot of my supplies. So moving on to the next spread, you have here my content ideas spread. I decided to do this because apart from having my schedule, which I already have on my content calendar on my Google Drive, it's really important for me to have a space where I can just list down all of my ideas. And while I was filming this, I remember the day before that I had this gathered all my data from some of my social media accounts, and things have been really doing well, so thank you so much, guys. And with that, it's made me brainstorm more on topics that I feel would be relevant to you guys and that I could still share. I mean, the thing with me is I do a lot of things. I do hand lettering, I do journaling, I do travel illustration, I do home organization, I cook. I am a multifaceted person, and I used to think it was such a weakness, but I think by allocating things properly, it's gonna be easy for me to figure out how I can utilize all these different types of information and properly educate them to you guys and help you get inspired to go on your own creative journey. So I'm just putting my key topics, and this is a space for me to just brainstorm ideas on the fly. Usually it's on my notes app, but after that I have a tendency to always go back to this notebook and write it down, just so I know that it has a record, because sometimes I overlook all the things that are happening online because everything is happening so fast. But with having this analog tool, I feel like I can be able to get more in touch with what I have to do, how things are going, my progress, and being able to see everything at a glance. And that is such a rewarding thing to know. So let's move on to the next spread. This spread is going to be my series spread and shop spread. So by Friday, if you watch this video, yeah, in a couple of days after, I'm going to start launching my free series on YouTube called Letter with Abbey Sy. It will be a series on hand lettering, so make sure to tune in every Friday for a new video. And we have filmed some of them beforehand, so I just have to render them and fix them basically. I'm just taking my time because I have a lot of time at home to do it. So that's going to be on the left side in case I have notes or new ideas that I could pop in every now and then. What I like about this is there's not really that much of a pressure to deliver it in such a great like professional way. I always thought like if I was going to be on YouTube that I had to be like this really like high-end professional person, but honestly I find that the little details or the little imperfections make every video, you know, naturally imperfect, and it's such a good thing. I don't really want to keep striving for perfectionism. It gets tiring over time, guys. Trust me, I've been doing that for more than 5 years now. So I am doing this last spread. I actually decided to shorten some pages because the past months when I did like a full expenses log, I didn't fill it up, so it was basically a waste of paper. So on the left is my expenses log and also some notes about my social media. I'm starting to do this page on the right first. I got too carried away. So this is actually a quote by Hey Green Doll. She is a very popular YouTuber. So it says, starting something and slowly fixing things as you go is the right way. When I read this from her vlog, I read the subtitles and the captions. I was really moved because it's so nice to have this really good beginner's mindset and not being able to feel anxious or uncertain about things, especially in the situation we're in now. It's so, you know, it's so normal to feel like everything is uncertain, but at the same time you shouldn't feel like that is going to trap you in the long run. There's always a way, and that's something I always forget as a person. I always panic at the smallest things, and I forget that I actually can figure out how to solve the problem. It just takes time, it just takes effort, and that's something that I always have to tell myself because I'm really, really bad at motivating myself. I don't know if it's just me, but I have some sort of habit of doing self-sabotaging. It's actually a bad thing, but yeah, I'm not gonna talk about it further. But I am really trying my best. So yeah, that is for the right spread. I actually like the right page because it's a mix of black and white, some grays, some muted greens, and you have these vintage colors that just pop out of the page. So for the left, I'm just heading on and decorating a wrap-up page. This term was really interesting because I remember we would always make wrap-up reports when I used to work at an advertising agency when I first graduated. So I think it's such a good way to sort of wrap up, per se, the end of the month. Like what worked, what didn't work, what I spent on, what investments did I do, did I invest on. I'm looking to invest in an online class platform, so that I'm thinking about and saving up for because it's not cheap. And I'm also thinking of, you know, investing more in ads, reach a wider audience, you know, things like these. It's really hard to log them. They're always just, you know, I get a receipt from PayPal, that's it, and then I forget about it, and then after like a few months I will just realize that I spent this much, and I really don't want that in the long run, especially because I'm the one doing my own accounting and figuring out how the finances go. And at this point it was really weird because a lot of things had to go digital. So we had to close the shop, I had to operate the digital shop, I still have to pay my assistants. So yeah, I'm just trying to keep it all together, and by having this page, it's going to be easier for me also to make sure things are still going according to plan. Even if this plan is not fully happening, at least I have like a backup, and I still have that attitude of being flexible and being adaptable to whatever situation I'm in. I mean, I think that has been ongoing for the past 5 years anyway, so this is just another challenge that I am in. So this is the final spread and pages that I did for April. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what theme you want to suggest for the next month. I'm thinking something like flowers, but I really enjoyed this one in particular. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!